Welcome back to the Flexing Down 49 Tour stop number 5. This week we were at Bell Park in Greenwood, Arkansas. Again, the card is my wife Bree, my dad Kevin, and our friend Taylor. This tournament started on hole number 5. It's a par 3, 301 feet. It's down a little bit of an incline. There's like a hill right in front of you, so it doesn't play exactly 301 feet, but it's pretty close. Decided to pull out the Rive, go with the big spike hyzer, see if we can start out with a little bit of a birdie and put one close. A pretty big theme of today is leaving hyzers not wide enough. Cutting them off a little bit short, sawed it off. We ended up outside in the circle 2, maybe even farther range to the left. So we're looking at a pretty long putt. It's pretty windy, straight in my face. Decided not to give this one too much of a chance. Really not the way that I wanted to start either, but we'll take it. Easy par. On to hole number 6. This is another par 3. They're all par 3s on this course. 224 feet. It does have OB, so the road plays OB. You got to land in a little bit of the triangle island there on the left side of the card. Threw a little forehand out there. This time I threw a grace, and we didn't quite catch all of it. I was a little bit scared of the OB, ended up leaving it out left. Ended up with this pretty gnarly little headwind putt. The wind is really coming just straight into my face, and we're probably about 45 feet out. I was really gearing up for this one, and as I'm getting ready to putt it, I'm seeing this truck come up the road, so I just continued to wait and wait and wait. And it paid off. We ended up getting the birdie there. Nice little headwind putt. I was aiming kind of low center basket, and it ended up working pretty well. Moving on to hole 7. This is a 258-foot par 3. Again, road is OB. You're trying to land on the other side of the road. And I turned it over and really thought I was going to smoke the back of that red car.
Interesting way to play it, but, well, it turned over in my hand.
I really wasn't worried about that shot going into it. I figured it was pretty stock, and that almost bit me. Easy little upshot. I'm just going to try to give myself the easy par. And it turned out just fine. Thank you, Bree, for walking straight in front of the camera. Love you. On to hole 8. Another par 3, 316 feet. Again, road is OB, closest to the tee box, but everything past it's okay. We're trying to really push a forehand down there and try to get it to go in this little gap about 300 feet down there. I thought I smoked it. Good clean throw, good clean hyzer. Really thought that I hit the gap well. Turns out that it didn't actually enter the gap, but that's all right. Had a little bit of a putt, straddle out there and see. I was really kind of guarded on the right. And I didn't even really give it a chance. I didn't jump it. I was kind of worried about going too long, just trying to save the pars. And we did keep the par. On to hole 9. This is very straightforward. You're just throwing straight into the side of a hill. So there's a hill that kind of slopes from right to left down, and I'm really trying to drive a forehand just straight into the side of that hill. So of course I leave it up, and of course it runs straight over the road OB right. Really thought about this one for a long time, was really considering giving it a run, but that hill is just too gnarly. Ended up laying it up. Didn't really know how it ended up in the beginning, but it turned out it just curled right up next to the basket, so we were all right. No need to make another putt. Next hole is on number 10. This is 349 feet. Everything is inbounds except for the road. The road plays as a river.
So I just made a pretty big mistake. Completely forgot to turn the camera on. We're going to walk it into where it landed, though, so you guys can see how good of a shot this was. At 366 feet, freaking parked.
So as we're walking this in, I absolutely smoked this. I hadn't tried this in the practice round that I played, but I really felt like I might be able to get it today. And I threw a forehand hyzer, and it just absolutely smoked it, just straight up next to the basket. We're probably about 20 to 25 feet on this putt. And we managed to make it. We got it back. So the real theme of this round is that I'm really trying to win, because the scorecards going into when we started was not looking too great. It was looking like it was going to be not too hard. So going into this 409-foot par 3, smoked it. But I'm just playing for pars. I'm really playing for pars and birdies, trying to get about 1 to 2 under, and shots like these definitely help. Just about perfect. Wish I could have been a little farther right, but again, hyzers are leaking left today, so should have known better. Another headwind putt that I thought that I jammed. It looked so good out of my hand, and then it just leaked out weak side. But again, we take a par, and that's just the theme, trying to take pars and keep like a 1 to 2 under score. So going into hole number 12, this is par 3, 258 feet. There's really not a whole lot of stuff really right in the middle. I was trying to push a justice through that straight gap, and it just turned on me. I didn't give enough to it. I was trying to lay off a little bit, and it ended up right in front of all that junk. There's a little window here that I'm going to pitch through. Really had no idea how this turned out when it went out of my hand, but I figured I was probably inside 10, and I was right. Snuggled up underneath a tree, but we're, 5 feet. Easy enough. On to hole 13, par 3, 236 feet. So this hole is actually quite a difficult one in my opinion. You really got to lay either a really big spike hyzer or a really good gap shot. So of course I elected spike hyzer, and again, left it left. So didn't get it wide enough. It ended up in the junk on the left side. If I would have just given it another probably 15 feet to the right, we probably would have been sitting pretty. Gave a little bit of a bid. I had a whole lot of branches in my way just straight in front of me. Kind of forced me to throw a little higher than I would have liked, but it's right there, so we'll take the par. Now on to hole number 14. This is a par 3, 382 feet. It's pretty much straight away, and you've got a whole bunch of field on your left to throw into. So of course I threw it to the right. Do my little hissy fit after I threw it into the woods, and then contemplated life for a minute as I looked at this shot with absolutely no gaps. Barely got the harp to push through. It pushed through just on the other side. I was very upset at this point, and this is kind of where it all falls apart. This is where the mental game definitely showed for me today, and it kind of continued the whole round. I really felt like I had to make that one. I felt like I had to give it a run, so I left myself with about a 25, or it's probably a 20 to 25 footer, somewhere in that range. And I felt decently confident with putting all day, but with how those last couple shots went, I was not in a good state of mind. Great way to take a double bogey. Gotta love it. So, visibly angry. Pretty upset now, moving into hole 15, par 3, 235 feet. Just sneaks a little bit to the left. It's a pretty standard mid-range. And I don't know if you guys caught that, but we're going to look at it one more time and how lucky this was. So, this shot, I have no idea how it happened. That little gap is probably about as wide as a disc is. How it made it through clean, I have no idea, but it went right in between those two branches on the perfect angle to barely make it through. I counted my lucky stars and sent this. Of course, when I sent it a little too much and didn't send it very well. Left myself another 20-footer, And considering how we're feeling right now, you probably know how it ends up. Yep, about like that. Gotta love getting super lucky off the tee and taking a bogey anyways. On to hole 16, this par 3, 369 feet. This is actually a pretty difficult shot. It's pretty much a tunnel all the way down, but you don't want to be right at all. It's absolute jail. You want something that ends left, but it's got to go straight for a long ways. And I still didn't make it down. I threw a Sagara, and it definitely came out early, but it didn't even get close. So we're just going to jump putt something down there and probably take the par. No idea what that was. Threw it down like an Anheuser straight into the ground, but it's close enough that it's not going to test me too bad. And we'll take the par. First par in a couple holes there. On to hole 17, 238-foot par 3 straight away. We actually missed this on our practice round. We skipped right by this hole and didn't play it. How we missed it, I have no idea. But going in blind, I threw the proxy, and I just left it short. I didn't give it anything at all. I was so worried about missing the line and ended up in the woods and taking another double bogey. Nice little pitch up. Went a little bit longer than I wanted it to. I wouldn't say I was giving it a run, but I probably should have laid off more than I did. I think this is only probably about 15 foot off, maybe in that range. It was not that far. Definitely a putt that I've got in the bag and can definitely make. But that goes to show how important the mental game is and how much it was not there for me today. So took a bogey for no reason. That is a face of a happy man right there. Moving on to hole 18, another par 3, 289 feet. So there is a little bit of an OB kind of straight and to your left, but it opens up to the right, trying to throw a Maverick through. And it gets up and gets on the angle, but it was a little more than what I wanted. Didn't have the distance, didn't have the flight, just kind of turned over. It's going to give us a look at par, but nothing for birdie with the low overhead. Gave it a little bit of a bid, but there was just no room above to give it the actual distance it needed. And my mental is starting to show pretty heavy now because I really did think that I had a shot to maybe take the top on this one. And I haven't won a tournament ever, so that was kind of important to me, and it definitely got to my head way more than it should have. Now we're wrapping back to hole number 1. It's a par 3, 169 feet. There's a couple trees in the way, but for the most part, it's a pretty straightforward little pitch up. Almost messed it up going a little bit too short or too left and hitting that tree right in front, but it worked out. Little zone just pushed up. We'll see if we can make one of the first decent putts in a while for a birdie. Wait for this car again. Another theme of this course is waiting on cars. And we got one. Back on a birdie train. Moving on to hole 2, it's a par 3, 299 feet. It's straight away. I do have water on the car, but it's not actually water. It's a dry ditch, so it doesn't play as a hazard. And I threw what I thought was a pretty good hex shot here, but it just turned up a little bit and ended up taking an Anheuser angle that I didn't anticipate. So we ended up a little bit short on this one, just in front of that dry ditch. Nice little run. I mean, hit chain again. I'll take hit and chain. It's something that I'll deal with to get a little bit better over time, but it really would have liked to have that one. Great putt, Bree. Let's see if I can follow up. And we do. Take the par. On to hole 3. It's a par 3, 260 feet. There's really nothing in the way except for 2 trees right in the middle you want to get through. So I yanked it right, was worried about the trees. It ended up just kind of flipping over in my hands, tried to throw a truth, and it just stayed perfectly flat and ended up over here to the right. I don't really have a shot at the basket here, just pitching up. And I was very frustrated. I didn't even give myself time to think about that one, just threw it. I felt like this round had just slipped away from me slowly. Not really slowly, it was rapidly in 2 holes, but it just slipped away from me when I thought I had a pretty good thing going. And on to our last hole, hole number 4. This is a par 3, 247 feet. It is straight away. And I put a pretty good move on this disc here. I thought it was just about perfect, but I knew that I gassed it straight out of my hand. And I definitely did gas it. This is probably more like a 55-footer if I had to guess. It was a long ways. At this point, I was so done, but somehow we get to finish with the birdie. Probably the best putt that I've made in a long time, but it still only gives us a final round score of 1 over par. Just really not the round that I wanted to have. This ended up being an 883 rated round. Ended up tying for 5th. Just not the kind of standard that I wanted to play. 1 over. The original scores that were what I was looking at was somewhere around the 2 under range. And yeah, I'm going to get 283 tour points out of this, but still wanted something better than an 883. The real goal of this is to get my rating up. I'm not playing the tour because I explicitly want to win the tour. I'm playing the tour because I want to get my rating moved up, and I want to improve at disc golf overall. And this was a chance that I think I had to really do that in this tournament because I felt like a lot of the holes were gettable. But I really got to myself at about hole 9 holes in. I just got to myself, let the mental go, and it's actually a pretty big lesson. I mean, I don't want to foreshadow too much, but we're obviously a few weeks past that now, and I think I've learned some lessons about the mental game and have been able to implement that into my play, and it's actually worked. So I think this was actually a learning experience that we got to have, because usually the way I've played tournaments in the past is I've had 1 or 2 tournaments a year. So if I played bad, I just got to deal with the mental poorly and then didn't play for a few months until I finally played another tournament. So it never really got to translate. But with so many rounds in a row with this tour, I've actually been able to learn some things about my mental game and implement them for a positive effect. So if you're interested in seeing how some of the later rounds turn out, please tune in. But that's all I have for you today. Throw them straight, throw them far, and we'll see you on the next tee.